Most people walked past him like he was invisible. Just another guy, in a reflective vest, sweeping up the trash rich folks left behind. But what they didn't know, that man had more honor than everyone on that block combined, and one act of kindness, just one, was about to flip his entire life upside down. Tobias Toby Reed is a quiet, humble street cleaner who works the early shift in one of the richest neighborhoods in Atlanta. He's used to the stares, the silence, the way people lock their car doors when he walks by. But one morning he finds a sleek black wallet on the ground, stuffed with cash, black credit cards, and a business card with the name Nathaniel Rhodes. Toby could have kept it. He needed that money. Badly. But he didn't. What he didn't know was someone was watching, and that someone was the billionaire behind the name on that card. Movie camera like and subscribe, because this isn't just a story about kindness. It's about how karma pays in full, and sometimes she leaves a tip. You ever meet someone so invisible to the world, the sidewalk doesn't even make room for him? That was Toby Reed. Quiet man. Wore his dignity like a jacket 2 sizes too small, still neat, still pressed, but you could tell life had tugged at the seams. Every morning, rain or shine, Toby got off the number 9 bus at exactly 5:07 a.m. His stop was just outside the Buckhead district, the rich part of Atlanta where Range Rovers lined up at stop signs and nobody ever looked down unless they dropped their iced coffee. Toby stepped off that bus carrying a mop bucket, a leaf blower strapped across his back, and a crumpled paper bag with 2 peanut butter crackers and a bottle of off-brand water. His reflective orange vest hugged his chest, and his work boots had holes so worn he duct-taped the soles every Friday. He was 42 years old, dark-skinned, tall, shoulders slightly curved forward from years of lifting more than he should have. There was something gentle about him, something you wouldn't notice unless you really looked. Most people didn't. He swept their mess, picked up their empty takeout boxes, beer cans, shattered scooter parts, and candy wrappers kids dropped without a second thought. He moved from one end of the block to the other with slow, steady grace. He didn't complain. He didn't rush. And he didn't miss a single spot. Toby used to work construction. That was before the site shut down and the company ghosted half the crew without paying out their last 2 weeks. His wife left 6 months later. She was tired of struggling, tired of renting, tired of being poor. You got a big heart, Toby, she said, packing her bags. But love don't feed people. He didn't blame her. Couldn't. Now he lived alone in a 1-room unit above a laundromat. The fridge buzzed like a dying wasp, and the ceiling fan clicked on every third turn. Rent was always late. His phone had been cut off twice this year already. He hadn't had a real meal in days. Peanut, butter, dry noodles, and sometimes, if he had an extra $1, a cup of instant mashed potatoes from the corner store. But every morning, Toby was there. On time. Vest zipped. Shirt tucked. He did the job nobody wanted and still smiled when someone said good morning, though that didn't happen often. Only one person ever really acknowledged him. Miss Geneva. She walked her old poodle, Prince, every morning at 6 sharp. You the only one keeping this city from drowning in trash, she'd say, waving as she passed. They don't see you, but I do. Sometimes she brought him biscuits. Nothing fancy, just homemade ones, soft and warm, wrapped in foil. He never asked. She never stayed. But it was enough to remind him he existed. That Tuesday morning, the sky was just starting to crack open when Toby spotted it. At first, he thought it was just another old phone case or someone's makeup bag. It was half buried under a Starbucks cup next to a recycling bin. But something about the leather caught his eye. He bent down, brushed it off, and felt the weight immediately. It was a wallet. He flipped it open. Inside was a driver's license, a few sleek black cards with silver letters, and a business card that looked like it cost more than his whole apartment. Nathaniel Rhodes. Rhodes Capital Group. Power with purpose. Toby didn't know the name, but the words carried weight. Sounded like someone important. Someone rich. And then he saw the money. Cash. A thick stack of it. Clean, crisp bills. 50s and 100s. No folds. No damage. No reason this much cash should be lying next to a trash can. He looked around. Nobody. Just the wind. A few birds. A black SUV parked across the street, engine still warm. Toby's fingers tensed around the wallet. He held it close to his chest, like it might blow away. He unzipped his backpack and slid it inside. Then he picked up his broom and kept sweeping. All shift, he thought about it. What if he kept it? $5,000, maybe more. He could pay rent for 3 months, buy groceries, get a new pair of boots, maybe even visit his little brother in Macon, something he hadn't done in 2 years. The thought lingered, but every time he imagined spending that money, he heard his mama's voice. If it don't belong to you, don't even look at it too long. At 9:14 a.m., his shift ended. He clocked out at the sanitation lot, changed into a clean polo, and took the train to the address on the card. It was a house, not an office. No, scratch that. It was a mansion. Wrought iron gate. Ivy crawling across white stone. Security cameras in every corner. The kind of place where your shoes make noise on the driveway. Toby walked up and rang the buzzer. A voice came through the intercom. Calm. Dismissive. This is a private residence. Hi, I think I found something. A wallet. It belongs to Mr. Rhodes. Pause. Leave it in the box. Toby looked around. A black metal box, open near the gate. Can I just make sure he gets it? Sir, the voice snapped. We're not interested in sales or solicitations. Leave the property. And just like that, the call ended. Toby stared at the camera lens. His fingers hovered over the wallet for one last second. Then he dropped it in the box, zipped up his bag, and turned away. He walked to the bus stop. No thank you. No handshake. Just silence. What he didn't know was that inside the house, a man in a navy suit was watching the entire thing from a live feed. Nathaniel Rhodes. Mid-50s. Clean cut. Not flashy. Just sharp in a quiet way. He watched Toby stand there, ignored. He watched him hesitate before letting go of something that could have saved him. He watched him walk away without asking for anything. And Nathaniel smiled. Later that evening, back at his apartment, Toby sat on the edge of his bed, peeling open a cup of instant noodles. He had no broth, so he poured in hot water and stirred it with a plastic spoon. He didn't have much, but he still had himself. That counted for something. Downstairs, a car pulled up. Quiet, black, windows tinted. Toby didn't notice. He was staring out the window, wondering what it meant to do good in a world that forgot your name the second you walked by. In the car, Nathaniel looked up at the small, square window on the second floor. That's the one, he said to his driver. The engine turned off, and somewhere in the darkness, a plan was already in motion. He returned the wallet. He didn't expect someone to show up at his door the next morning. The next morning, the sun came up hard. No clouds, just a burning sky and the sound of city life rising in layers. Toby was getting ready for work, like always. Shirt tucked in, vest folded over the back of his door, cracked boots laced tight. He had exactly $4.37 in his pocket and 1 packet of instant oatmeal left. He was pouring hot water into a chipped mug when there was a knock at the door. 3 taps. Firm. Purposeful. He paused. Heart thudding. Nobody ever knocked. Not up here. Not unless it was bad news. He opened the door slowly. A tall man in a dark suit stood in the hallway. Clean shave, shiny shoes, watch that could pay his rent 3 times over. Behind him, a second man, silent, wearing sunglasses indoors. The one in front smiled. Mr. Tobias Reed? Toby straightened. Yeah. My name is Colin. I'm the assistant to Mr. Nathaniel Rhodes. He'd like to speak with you. Toby blinked. I think you got the wrong. No, sir. He asked for you specifically. Toby looked down at his hands. Still wet from washing dishes. Fingernails rough. Shirt collar frayed. I ain't really dressed to meet nobody like that. Colin's smile didn't budge. You're dressed exactly how you need to be. 20 minutes later, Toby was in the back seat of a sleek black car, rolling through parts of Atlanta he'd only seen on TV. Gated communities, private schools, trees trimmed like sculptures. Even the air smelled expensive. The car pulled into a circular driveway and stopped in front of a glass and stone building tucked into a hill. It wasn't Rhodes' house. It was something else. Sleek, corporate. Colin led him inside. No front desk, no noise, just quiet marble holes and glass doors that opened without being touched. Toby followed him down a hallway and into a room with tall windows and bookshelves lined with titles he couldn't pronounce. Nathaniel Rhodes stood at the window, looking out at the skyline. When he turned, Toby felt something shift. Not fear, just gravity. Like this man walked with the weight of the world on his shoulders and never broke a sweat. "Mr. Reed," he said, extending a hand, "I've been wanting to meet you." Toby wiped his palm on his pants and shook it, firm but unsure. "Why, yes, sir. Sorry I didn't call, or nothing. I just thought, well, it was the right thing to do." "It was," Nathaniel said, "and it still is." He gestured for Toby to sit. Coffee was already waiting. Hot, no sugar. Just how Toby usually drank it, though he never said a word. "I have a proposition," Nathaniel began. "I run a foundation that supports small business programs and workforce development in low-income neighborhoods. But I've always believed real change starts with real people." Toby shifted in his seat. "I'm not sure I follow." Nathaniel leaned forward. "I want to offer you a position. Not as a janitor, not as a laborer, as a community advisor. Someone who knows what it's like to work, to struggle, to care without being asked to. Someone with integrity." Toby blinked. "Why me?" Nathaniel smiled. "Because no one was watching and you still did the right thing. That's rare. That's priceless." Toby sat back. The chair creaked. His heart was racing. "What's the catch?" "No catch," Nathaniel said. "Just responsibility." Word travels fast in small neighborhoods. By that afternoon, people at the laundromat were already whispering. Miss Geneva smiled and hugged him when he came downstairs. "I told you, baby. The world got eyes, even when you don't see 'em." But not everyone was thrilled. Across the street from Rhodes' office tower, in a sleek luxury condo on the 17th floor, a woman named Chelsea Vaughn was watching the same video Toby didn't know had been recorded. She was the vice president of public affairs at a local development firm, the kind of person who wore expensive blouses and never said "excuse me" when she cut in line. She'd worked with Rhodes before, once even tried to join his foundation board, until he turned her down. Now, seeing this unknown man, this trash guy, as she muttered under her breath, being offered a seat at a real table, she didn't like that one bit. And Chelsea was not the type to sit quietly. The next morning, Toby showed up to his old job to give notice. His supervisor barely looked up. "You quitting?" "Huh. You finally get tired of being poor?" Toby smiled. Something like that. He shook the man's hand anyway. By that Friday, he was seated at a meeting room in Rhodes Capital Group, wearing a borrowed suit from the nonprofit wardrobe bank Nathaniel had quietly arranged for him. He didn't talk much, just listened, learned, took notes. But outside the glass, Chelsea Vaughn was already making calls to reporters, to the city council, to people who didn't like seeing new faces in old spaces. And she had a plan. Back in his apartment, Toby sat on the edge of his bed. The suit hung by the door. He hadn't eaten since noon, but he wasn't hungry. For the first time in years, he felt full. Not with food, with hope. But hope, he was about to learn, makes some people very, very angry. They said he didn't belong at the table. So they tried to destroy his name before he even took a seat. There's a kind of silence that follows good news. Not peace, not celebration. Just silence. Like your soul's waiting for the world to catch up and punch you in the gut. That's what Toby felt in the days after starting at Rhodes Capital Group. He was now Community Impact Advisor. A title that sounded fancy, but meant something real. He was being paid well. He had a desk, a badge, a work phone. His name, Tobias Reed, was on the door. But with the rise came the whispers. At first it was subtle. He noticed the way some of the staff looked at him. Not with hate, but with that kind of corporate curiosity that says, "Who let you in?" One woman asked him if he was shadowing someone from facilities. Another handed him her coffee order like he was an intern. Toby didn't say a word, just kept showing up. On time, prepared, professional. But someone didn't like that. Her name was Chelsea Vaughn. She wasn't loud. She didn't yell. She didn't even raise her voice. Chelsea destroyed people with emails and smiles. She had worked her way up through politics, media, and private development. Her contacts stretched from city hall to newsrooms to boardrooms. And when she saw Nathaniel Rhodes elevate a man like Toby, a man she'd seen sweeping curbs just weeks earlier, she didn't see inspiration. She saw a threat. So she started digging. She called a reporter from a conservative local news outlet, fed them a story. Tobias Reed, a former sanitation worker with no formal qualifications, is now advising one of the most powerful philanthropic institutions in Atlanta. She didn't stop there. She hinted at mismanagement. Is Rhodes' capital becoming reckless with its hires? She called a former HR director who didn't like Nathaniel's style, fed them talking points. Then she made her boldest move yet. She hired a private investigator to pull Toby's record. And she found something. Toby had been arrested 15 years earlier. It was a dumb mistake. Wrong place, wrong time. He'd been riding in a car with two friends from his old neighborhood. One of them had stolen goods in the trunk. Toby didn't know. They were all arrested. Toby never got convicted. The charges were dropped, but the mugshot still existed. Chelsea had it, and she leaked it. On Wednesday morning, Toby stepped off the elevator and noticed everyone staring at him. Whispers. Phones out. Then he saw it. The headline on someone's screen. From mugshot to million-dollar desk, the real story of Tobias Reed. He froze. The photo. His face. Black and white. Young. Tired. Lost. He hadn't seen that picture in over a decade. His palms went cold. He turned and walked to his office, shut the door, and sat down, staring at his nameplate like it belonged to someone else. That afternoon, he was called upstairs. Nathaniel was waiting. The room was quiet. No smiles this time. Toby braced for it. I didn't lie, he said, before Nathaniel could speak. I just didn't think it mattered. That was a different life, a different me. Nathaniel nodded slowly. I know. Toby looked up. You do? Nathaniel opened a folder. Inside was the same mugshot. I knew about this the second we offered you the job. I had to. We vet everyone. Toby's throat tightened. And you hired me anyway? Nathaniel looked him dead in the eye. You didn't steal that wallet, Toby. You could have, but you didn't. That tells me more about you than a mistake made when you were 27 and scared. Toby swallowed hard. But the press? The press is temporary. Character isn't. Still, the damage was done. Toby couldn't walk into a room without feeling eyes on his back. An anonymous email was sent to staff accusing Rhodes' capital of lowering standards. One board member resigned in protest, calling it a dangerous precedent. The pressure was rising. Toby wanted to quit, walk away, go back to something simple, something quiet. But then, something unexpected happened. The older black woman from the front desk, Miss Rhonda, brought him lunch, wrapped in foil, still warm. Figured you could use a home-cooked meal, she said. He opened the foil. Biscuits, greens, a piece of fried catfish. Toby smiled for the first time in days. You know what people don't like about you, baby? She said, sitting on the edge of his desk. They don't like that you didn't stay where they put you. Meanwhile, Chelsea wasn't finished. She arranged a secret meeting with the board's ethics committee. She showed them the mugshot, the leaked news story. She said Toby posed reputational risk. She pushed for his removal. But what she didn't know, Nathaniel had someone watching her too. A week later, Toby was called into a room again. Only this time, it wasn't for a warning. It was for the truth. Nathaniel handed him a file. Inside, screenshots, emails, recordings. Chelsea had orchestrated everything. And now, she was the one under investigation. Toby sat back, stunned. He looked at Nathaniel. I don't want revenge, he said quietly. I just want peace. Nathaniel nodded. Then let's make sure you get it. They tried to bury him, but they didn't know he was a seed. It was supposed to be a quiet Friday. Toby arrived early, coffee in hand, shirt pressed, tie a little crooked, but clean. He walked into Rhodes' capital with the weight of the past few weeks pressing down like a concrete slab. The news cycle hadn't let up. Every day, a new opinion piece, a new talking head, a new radio host asking, what kind of message are we sending, letting ex-cons advise the wealthy? The truth didn't seem to matter. He was never convicted. He had never lied. He was just easy to tear apart. And yet, every day, he showed up. Today, though, something felt different. People weren't avoiding him. They were staring again. But this time, with confusion. Whispers passed between interns. A few glances turned into wide eyes. Then into murmurs. Then into gasps. He got to his desk. His phone had 17 missed calls. His inbox was exploding. Then the door opened. It was Miss Rhonda. "You need to see this," she said, holding up her phone. On the screen was a live stream. Chelsea Vaughn, standing outside the Rhodes Foundation's front entrance. Microphones, cameras, flashbulbs, reporters packed in. She was crying, not sobbing, not breaking, just performing. "They're trying to silence me," she said into the mic. "All I did was raise concerns about the direction of this institution. And now, I'm being punished for telling the truth." The reporters leaned in. "And what truth is that, Ms. Vaughn?" She sniffled. "That hiring someone with a criminal record, someone with no formal education, no qualifications, is a dangerous precedent. If that makes me a villain, then so be it." One reporter asked, "Are you saying you were forced out?" Chelsea paused dramatically. "I'm saying they've chosen him over people like me, and I think the public deserves to ask why." Then she looked directly into the camera. "And maybe someone needs to ask Tobias Reed if he's really the role model they think he is." Click. End of live stream. Toby sat there frozen. His name, his face, dragged through the mud. Again. But this time, he didn't stay quiet. He stood, buttoned his jacket, walked straight into the boardroom, where Nathaniel was already in a meeting. "Sir," Toby said, steady voice, "I want to speak. Publicly." Nathaniel looked up, surprised. Then he smiled. "I was hoping you'd say that." That night, Rhodes Capital streamed a live town hall. No press spin, no script, no hiding. Just Toby, a mic, a stool, and an audience that included staff, board members, donors, and over 20,000 people watching online. He cleared his throat, looked around. His hands were shaking, but his voice wasn't. "My name is Tobias Reed. Some of y'all know me. Most of y'all don't." He paused. "You've seen my face in a mugshot. You've read headlines that don't tell the whole story. So, let me tell you who I really am." He told them everything. The arrest, the dropped charges, the lost job, the marriage that crumbled, the years of picking himself back up, the mornings sweeping the street before the sun rose, the wallet, the choice, the silence. "I didn't return that wallet expecting a reward. I returned it because it was the right thing to do." He looked at the camera. "I am not a mistake. I am not a risk. I am a man who fell and stood back up. And if that makes you uncomfortable, maybe it's not me you're really afraid of." There was silence, then applause, then a roar. Within an hour, the clip went viral. Hashtag stand with Toby. Hashtag character over credentials. Hashtag let him speak. Celebrities shared it. Activists reposted it. Thousands commented. "I cried watching this. This man is more qualified than half of Congress. We need more Tobis in the world." But karma wasn't done yet, because just 2 days later, Chelsea's emails leaked. The same private investigator she hired, he turned on her when he found out she tried to bribe someone to plant a false claim on Toby's name. Screenshots, audio clips, a memo to a local reporter titled, "Destroy Toby Reed before Q3. The internet ate her alive. By Monday, she was trending under. Hashtag Chelsea the Karen. She was dropped from 3 boards, lost her consulting contracts, became the face of how not to handle diversity. And Toby? He just kept showing up. But the biggest twist came later. 1 week after his public speech, a letter arrived in the mail, hand-delivered, gold-embossed, from the governor's office of Georgia. Toby opened it with trembling fingers. Inside was an official invitation to speak at the 2025 State Economic Leadership Summit. Theme: Redefining Value integrity, work, and the future of America. And under the keynote speaker list, Tobias Reed. He didn't fight for fame. He fought to be seen. And now, the whole world was watching. The ballroom was massive. Crystal chandeliers, velvet curtains, rows of press, politicians, philanthropists. The Economic Leadership Summit was the kind of event Toby had only ever seen in news clips on the tiny TV at the laundromat. Now he was here, not sweeping the floors, not holding someone else's coat. He was the keynote speaker. And he wasn't wearing a borrowed suit this time. His navy blue blazer was custom-tailored. His shoes shined, but his eyes, still the same, still humble, still heavy with stories. Backstage, Nathaniel Rhodes patted him on the shoulder. "Whatever you say up there, say it like you're talking to your younger self." Toby nodded, stepped forward, and walked out into the light. Applause rose like a wave and settled into silence. He stood at the podium. Then he spoke. "My name is Tobias Reed," he began, same way he had at Rhodes Capital. "I used to clean these streets, not the ones around this hotel, not the ones they put in travel brochures, the ones folks only drive through with the windows rolled up." He paused. "You ever feel invisible? Like the world looks right through you until it needs someone to blame?" A few heads nodded. I returned a wallet. That's how all this started. Just a wallet. Could have kept it. Lord knows I needed the money. Murmurs in the crowd. But I didn't. And I didn't expect to thank you either. I didn't even expect y'all to care. What I never expected was to be questioned for it. To be picked apart. Judged for mistakes I already paid for. Like my life only mattered once someone rich told you it did. The room was silent. Raw. Toby looked straight into the camera. Character ain't something you print on a business card. It's what you do when nobody's watching. He smiled just a little. "And I don't need your approval. I already have something better. I got peace. I got purpose. And I got my name back." A pause. Then the room erupted in a standing ovation. Toby stood there, blinking hard. He didn't bow, just nodded. He had said what he needed to say. By that evening, the full speech was online. Millions watched it. School teachers played it in classrooms. City councils quoted him in meetings. Talk show hosts asked, "Is Toby Reed the future of real leadership?" And Chelsea Vaughn? She was last seen trying to launch a podcast about cancel culture and corporate betrayal. It got 4 listens. 3 of them were her. Sponsors pulled out. Her name became a meme. Someone printed her leaked email onto a t-shirt that said, "Destroy Toby Reed before Q3," and still lost. She faded from the spotlight. Just another person who tried to erase someone else and ended up erasing herself. But for Toby, things were just beginning. He turned down the offers to run for office. Instead, he took the seed money Nathaniel gave him and opened the Reed Center, a community hub in the neighborhood he once swept. Job training, legal support, mentorship for kids who've never seen someone like them in a suit unless it was in handcuffs. He showed up every day, not as a savior, as a reminder that even the smallest acts of good, a returned wallet, a choice not to steal, a moment of quiet integrity, can echo louder than any microphone. 1 year later, a reporter visited him for a follow-up. She asked, "What would you tell the man you were before all this happened?" Toby thought for a long second, then said, "I'd tell him, keep sweeping. Keep showing up. They can't ignore you forever." And somewhere in a corner of Atlanta, a man walked past a sanitation worker on his morning shift. And for the first time in his life, he looked him in the eye and said, "Thank you."